Joe Biden has a big problem. Some Democrats aren't buying his malarkey on GarageGate. The president's lawyers found 5 more classified documents in his Delaware house after the White House said the search was complete. That's in addition to the ones Joe said were secure in his garage, right next to his prized Corvette. Dems, including Adam Schiff, are having a hard time defending Biden because it looks like the White House tried to cover this up.
I'm glad that there is a special prosecutor that's been appointed to investigate.
You are glad that there's a special prosecutor.
Classified documents are to be taken seriously. No one is above the law. So I'm glad to see the Justice Department doing its work.
Well, it's certainly embarrassing, right?
I still would like to see Congress do its own assessment of and receive an assessment from the intelligence community of whether there was an exposure to others of these documents, whether there was harm to national security.
You know things are bad when you lose Adam Schiff. Even the media thinks this torpedoes the notion that Biden is Mr. Competence.
It's very, very big. Not legally, but politically, it's a very, very big deal. I don't think sitting there hunkering down now, they're just acting like it's not out there is a good strategy. They're just going to get creamed doing this.
What happened here with these classified documents really erodes and undermines not just the momentum, but the brand that the Democrats had been building of being not only the competent party, but the decent, honest party.
Yeah. By stumbling and bumbling around, by not getting their timeline right, amateur hour is over.
All right. And Republicans are demanding the visitor logs for Biden's house where Hunter lived. But the White House claims they don't exist. This is not stopping the grand old party from wanting more answers.
We wonder if the Secret Service had records now. That's our next question, because he still had Secret Service protection. And you would assume that the Secret Service would vet people that would be allowed on the premise of the dwelling for the President of the United States. Remember, the FBI, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, they also took the security cameras to look at security footage. Did they do the same with Joe Biden?
All right, Judge. This feels a little too tidy to me, how swiftly the tide is turning against Joe. It's like a high school where they decide the popular kid is no longer popular. Don't you get that feeling like when Adam Schiff turns against you, Warnock?
You know, what's interesting about this is there's a part of me that wants to believe that a lot of this is being promoted by the Dems because they don't want Donald Trump to run for, they don't want him to run either, but they don't want Joe Biden to run for president. So here's the issue, Greg, that is driving me crazy. On November 2nd, the president's lawyers say they find documents, classified documents, in a closet at the Penn Biden Center. First of all, why were the lawyers there? We don't even know why. We want to know whether or not, did it say classified on the outside? Did they open it up? You know, and then once they did that, they say the next day it went to National Archives, November 4th to DOJ, November 9th. The DOJ says they're going to do an assessment. And I get because, you know, they're corrupt. They want to hide this information from the American public. So they didn't say anything before the midterms. But they didn't say anything until January the 9th. They could have leaked this during Christmas week, after Christmas week, New Year's Eve. This could have all come out. My question is, what were they doing? Why does Karine Jean-Pierre get out on January 10th and say, we're all transparent, we have completed, I assume it's all been completed. 2 days later, we found out there are more documents. So they not only don't have their story straight, but that tells me that they were doing something during those 2 months. During those 2 months, I can guarantee you, in that house where Joe Biden said he was, where he was living, and Hunter said he was paying $49,000 a month rent, which to me is money laundering to his father, Joe. Joe says he only made $19,000 a month on that house, that Hunter gave him $50,000 a month to rent. So there's all kinds of questions that you've got going on here, and nobody's answering them. We're supposed to just say, oh, it's not as bad as Trump. It's worse. At least Trump was a president. These are all Obama-era documents. And I got to say one more thing. Andrew McCabe, of all people to talk about this, this guy gets thrown out of the FBI for leaking documents. He comes around and he says, you know what? We really should not give the Republicans anything, and we should let them do whatever they want to do, but don't cooperate. And at the end of the day, it's a huge gift to Trump. That's all.
Oh, really? All right, Dana. I get the feeling that Biden was kind of like the fake ID that got the Democrats into the bar. By Democrats, I mean Kamala Harris. They don't need him anymore.
Well,
So this is their way of pushing him out.
Though I do think now they might be stuck with him because his approval rating's going up a little bit more. They realize that a bloody primary on their side would be pretty bad. Americans usually reelect their presidents. Very unusual not to give them a second term. And so I think the Biden people, until this happened, were thinking this will be a walk in the park. This does make it more difficult, but I don't see any Democrat coming out and actually challenging them. It is good for the Republicans. Remember, Biden said we're going to be the return to normal. We're going to be the return to everything's competent, everything's fine. No one ever has to think about us. No one has to worry about us. And that is certainly turning out not to be true. On this story, they are challenging the Afghanistan withdrawal debacle in terms of a communications failure. This is so interesting that they continue to extend the bad news cycle by having a drip, drip, drip out there. Joe Scarborough mentioned something. He said the timeline keeps changing. Something that drives the media crazy is if the timeline changes. Like, but wait, you said this and now this. But you're looking at these dates like, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you have said it? But you knew on the 18th. And then the press secretary is like, well, yeah, she can't answer any of those questions in a way that makes a lot of sense anyway.
That's why I don't keep a timeline.
It's better not to keep a timeline. It's better not to keep a timeline. I think that this will continue to go forward. I think that the Dems are going to learn the hard way that just saying, yeah, but Trump was worse is not going to cut it this time around.
That's true. You know, Joy, I really want to say the walls are closing in, but I know I would be culturally appropriating CNN.
The walls are closing.
The walls are closing in, Joey.
You know, they've cut him off at his knees here.
To use the cliche.
Listen, there are two things at play here for me. As an American citizen sitting here watching this play out, the first is fairness and accountability. Investigate Trump for what had happened, investigate Biden for what had happened. They both should be held accountable for violating protocols that I would be ruined over as a young Marine. And I love President Trump as a president. I voted for him twice. That's true. As a Republican, do I feel better about documents that were in a safe inside of a secured compound than I do behind Biden's Corvette? Of course I do. But if both are violations of the same rule, investigate them and put it out there. I don't think there's a lot of jail time on the table or something like that. But if I want to talk about the second issue that as a partisan really is important to me, it's this fact that my buddy Luke that lives at my house about half the time and loves to partake in green cigarettes pointed out to me. He looks at me one day in my gym in the basement and goes, you know, they do everything they accuse Republicans of doing. And he says they because he doesn't align. But it's true. I mean, they call us racist while they're pushing CRT and this idea of front-of-the-line equity. They call us war hawks while they're droning American citizens abroad and funding a war against Russia. They call us insurrectionists while they're burning City Hall. Oh, and by the way, not only are they doing that, they're propping up Stacey Abrams, the OG election denier. They do all these things that they accuse Republicans of. They're just a lot better at communicating it usually on the front end. Like, hey, we're going to go do this in back rooms, so let's pretend like we're not doing it and accuse them of it. At the end of the day, this is, I know you are, but what am I? And I don't think they're going to get away with it.
Well, here's the thing, Geraldo. It's like, it's one of those things that cross the blood-brain barrier. It's now the Democrats are actually coming out and saying things. This is no longer feels that partisan.
Well, first of all, I want Joey to invite me to his basement for the green cigarettes. I think that he owes it. Owes it to me.
It's not a me thing. It's a buddy thing.
All right. Okay. Well, I align with your buddy then. Listen, I still think this is Eric Holder and Fast and Furious. This is Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. It's a big, big boom, and then it all goes away. And at the end of it, the people who were the prime protagonists have egg on their face. I think this is all about a bunch of nothing. I really do believe that there were documents in the garage. I don't think anyone has made the case that they were stolen or that they were given to spies or that they've imperiled or impeached the national security of the United States of America. I think that it is all about partisan politics, all about gotcha. They went after Trump. They embarrassed Trump. Now we're going to go after Biden. We're going to get him. They raided Trump. Now we'll say, why aren't you raiding Biden? They'll use it in the sense as a political bludgeon. They're all about nothing.
But isn't that wrong? I mean,
nowhere.
How is that wrong? We're starting at that step.
Wrong, right? That's why I'm not a politician, nor am I politically correct. I cannot imagine what life is like if this is what you do all day, is pursue these meaningless, empty, irrelevant scandals only because the other party did it. It is partisanship, pure and simple. And and when I see Joe Scarborough and the other Democrats chickening out and saying, the amateur hour, and maybe we are bad, it reminds me so much of Russia.
You are a lawyer.
I am.
This is against the law, pure and simple.
What law?
What law? What
No,
law? You are not supposed to take classified top secret documents and put them anywhere
May
but
I
in
submit
a
you would have to
secure
arrest
facility.
You would have to arrest every single
Too many people
former
are in
president,
jail.
vice
Here we go
president,
again.
senators.
Too many people are in jail right now for that. And you know what? The way to stop it is to start arresting
I know
them.
you're really proud of the time you spent down range with men and women in uniform.
I certainly am.
And I want to know how you go to sleep at night reconciling what you just said about that, knowing that some of those men and women would have their lives ruined over doing exactly what those two men did.
First of all,
That's what
I would
like to
defend any service person accused of this. I would defend with my dying breath. I think that it is ridiculous, and
Those
I want to see.
24-year-olds don't have this
I
problem.
want to see any case. I've heard references. Any case where someone really went to jail because of negligent handling of a.
Oh my God,
that
we got a
happened.
million of them.
Negligent handling, not intentionally.
Negligent.
Evil,
the guy who sent the
not
pictures of
taking
the
Russian
submarine
submarines.
to his parents.
And did he?
Saucier, was that his name?
I don't remember his name, but I know that the woman I talked about last week in the hotel in Indonesia, that wasn't intentional. She's in jail.
We got to move on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.